everyone, welcome back to Sold Out Chat, the gathering for marketing, tech experts, and leaders that want to help their organization get to sold out status. I'm Kay, the marketing coordinator here at Above Promotions. For those joining us for the first time, we cover tools, innovations, policies, and strategies each month to help brands sell out products or reach capacity with your booked services. In our last episode, we discussed creating brand ambassadors using existing resources with Rachel Connect. If you missed it, please visit our YouTube channel to replay the dynamic conversation. Today, we will be discussing AI, privacy laws, and social media changes, why you should review your Martech stack today. And for today's chat, we will be joined by Ebony Vaz. She is the founder and CEO of Above Promotions and one of the few marketers in the world with an engineering degree and published research focused on human behaviors and statistical data. Hi, Ebony.
Hi, Kay. Can you believe it's another month? Time really flies by.
Yeah, I can't believe it's another new month, another episode, and here we are with our guest, Ora Tanner, an award winning technologist, educator, researcher, and entrepreneur. She is the CEO of Black Unicorn Education, an emerging technology company that offers AI education to individuals from diverse communities through unique learning programs, products, and community based events. Black Unicorn Education is on a mission to train 500,000 individuals with a focus on Black women to become AI leaders at their jobs. Hi, Aura.
I was going to say, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here to have this conversation.
Thanks so much. I feel like it's been forever since we've seen you, but actually, just for the audience, Ora and I were just on a panel a few days ago. So literally, it was just it's almost the same topic, and we were chatting away, and just really glad to have you on here. I know time is flying by, and so we'll get started right into these questions.
Yes, excited.
So we've got the open AI lawsuit that's going on right now, or actually, I should say like many of them. So everybody's coming for open AI right now. So what do you see going on in this space that is causing all the concern by content creators?
Yeah, the main thing I think that is happening is people are starting to wake up to the fact that, for me, the main thing is it's without consent. And that's kind of the theme I see across all of the different lawsuits. It's you are using something of mine that I created without my permission, and you're using it to, train your models and make products. So it's basically you're taking something, well, normally taking something without permission is called theft. So you're stealing it and then basically trying to sell it back to me. And so I think that's the main thing.
I mean, Mark Zuckerberg set that model in place? We give him everything and then he comes back and sells to us?
Right. But I think this time, a lot of times, and that's a good point. Like this has been happening, for like it just didn't start happening in November when, ChatGPT came out. Like on these social media platforms, you are giving permission for your data to be used, sold to third parties for targeted ads. And so I think now, especially with creatives, though, this is like people's life's work. And so a lot of creatives are not making a lot of money, yet in some instances. And so for someone to just come and take their life's work and then use it, and then someone else can type a prompt into your model and get something that looks like you did, and it took you like 2 years to make it or something.
Yeah. You know what? I want to go backwards for a minute because you said something on Saturday, and I keep mentioning we just talked, but Aura was on our panel for the Black Innovation Leaders of Florida. They too Tampa tour. Whoop whoop. And exciting couple of days for the organization and attendees. And so you said something. What is your definition of AI? So let me back up and go there.
Yes. So I had mentioned, and I'll mention it again, there is no universally agreed on definition for artificial intelligence. And, ask 10 different people, depending on what industry or sector they're in, you'll get a different answer. But the way I like to say it is it's the ability of machines or computers to attempt to simulate the decision making or problem solving capability of human beings. And then I always like to joke that AI, instead of artificial intelligence, it stands for attempted intelligence, because it's trying to be like us, but it can't.
Yeah. So, when we talk about, we started off just jumping right into this open AI, but we know they're not the only ones in the game. But we're also seeing as people are, we go back and we talk about learning the language models that exist and what they're being taught, and actually who is even behind teaching these models to provide the information back to us. When I think about it, what kind of implications do these type of lawsuits create for other companies who are engaging in similar data reusing practices? Because OpenAI is not the only one out there creating these models.
Correct. So yeah, you have Meta has, lawsuits, Google has lawsuits. So I look at it for any other company, really, because those are like the big, huge ones. So they can afford to be in these legal battles. But smaller companies, that are using these, to me, it just kind of is a wake up call that you need to ensure that you are building them responsibly. And you'll hear responsible AI all over the place. And the big tech companies, they all have a page that talks about responsible AI. And I was actually just reading a study yesterday, and I believe they asked like the heads of 500 different companies, and I think it was like 96% of them believe, we should be building responsibly, using, implementing, protecting people's data. But only something like, I think it was like less than 20% have policies in place to ensure that AI is being used and built responsibly. So I just think the implications are that if you follow the model of these bigger tech companies, then you will be sued. And so it's to your benefit on the front end to get those policies in place, get those guidelines, and have real things in place for your company to actually adhere.
So we do a lot of marketing tech audits and taking a look at what some of the tools that people are doing. And we did a website rebuild for a tech company. They create tech products for government agencies, private corporations. And I'm like, hey, we're doing your website. Can you give me a privacy policy? And they're like, oh, yeah, we need to do one of those. And I was like, excuse me? What do you mean? Like, people are paying you to build software. Surely, so it's very interesting that still in this day, we as individuals, we don't want to share everything. We want to have this level of barrier. But then when we put on that entrepreneur hat, we kind of forget that. And I'm not quite sure. I guess it's the benefit of having money in the bank account that outweighs actually putting those privacy rights into place. But I
Yeah,
think that we have some things that we should be concerned about, right? Because if these data models are going out scraping sites, I mean, we live in Florida. It's a sunshine state. You can get a lot of things open law. I mean, can you imagine getting ready to go on an interview and someone went to one of these AI models and they pulled out some random stuff from the state of Florida?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say the whole policy thing, that's interesting with the company. But also, I think there's a larger problem is as enterprises and companies like rush to integrate it into their workflows and use it, they, one, don't have a clear business objective. Like, why are we using this? Like, you, before you implement AI, you need to go and really look at, okay, what is the problem I'm trying to solve? And then is AI, the best solution for this? And then even once you figure that out, then the data is always the bedrock of all of this, because I like to say data is the oxygen of AI. So then you would have to know, okay, what data do I need to use, that this model is going to be trained on, or that we're going to, be implementing or putting into this model. So I just think there's a lot of things on the front end that maybe people are not thinking of before they rush to adopt it. And you would need to do that kind of pre-work first, which includes policies and how your employees, because like I said, in that same research report, it was kind of like, because there are no policies in place, employees are just kind of using it how they want. And so that could really be putting a lot of things in danger, for companies.
You know,
Yes.
you said something that I'm sorry, Kay, I know you're about to ask a question. But you said something I'm going to write down, and I'm going to credit you because, I'm not, Zuckerberg. But um, you said data is the oxygen for AI. And I just got to, I'm just going to say coin that right now, Ora Tanner. Boom. I don't know what presentation I'll put it in, but it's going to have your name in it. Trust me. That was really good. Okay, sorry, Kay.
That's okay. Yeah, it's really great. And so I was just wondering, what are the challenges do organizations face in ensuring compliance with privacy laws while utilizing AI in their marketing tech stack?
Yeah, I would say one of the, wait a minute, I was going to say if you could repeat that again. Oh, with compliance. Yeah, so one of the main things is there really are no real laws, but I think the main thing is really laying out how are you going to protect people's data. And that's like the number one concern people have, and then also their proprietary information. So I think it still comes down to, as far as Martechs, if you don't have someone or a team, dedicated to reading the privacy policies and terms and services for these tools, then you should do it immediately. Like, I spend a lot of my time, it seems like it would be boring, but fascinating stuff inside of these terms and services. But yeah, that should be part of somebody's job, and maybe give them a bonus for doing it. But if you,
Oh, I should get one.
Hey, Ora, hold it down over
Yeah,
there. Hold it down over there,
I
Ora.
actually
Nope.
I actually enjoy reading those terms and conditions just to make sure that we don't get into trouble, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
should get that
yeah,
bonus.
So I think,
Just kidding.
I mean, yeah. I got you, Kay. I got you. Christmas coming up. I got you, Kay. So look, for us, when we're looking at it, I mean, the immediate thing is that people are online businesses, websites, and they're doing businesses with states with like new our privacy laws that have rolled out within the last few months, plus ones that are coming up, and then we're going to roll out like end of this year, beginning of next year. So I think it just behooves everybody. And again, like you said, Aura, if that's not you, if that's not your thing, if you don't want to sit and listen to legal or read the legal stuff through all the platforms that you're using, then definitely, call us and we'll do it for you. But the main thing for it is knowing what you're giving away and where that data is and being able to track it. Because once you get that request from someone to remove me, and you haven't even mapped out where all the data is at, oh my gosh, you are just like the clock starts ticking on you as a business owner or organization once you get that notice. So it's definitely something that people should be considering, whether it's bedtime reading material, but they should do it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah.
Since we're talking about this, like ensuring the compliance, so in light of this emerging privacy concerns, what are the best practices would you recommend for organizations in doing this review and updating their Martech stack?
Yeah, I would say just having a knowledge base, because that's another thing, I guess, at companies. There's like not a central place where people can go to get information and know, like everyone know, go to a place where they can know what's going on, like what tools are being used. And once again, I just think it goes back to those policies. So if you have like, this department over here is, using Mid Journey to create
I'm sorry.
images or whatever, for our social media posts. And this, but this department is using, a set of different tools, and no one knows who's using what. Like, you really could just be putting the entire company at risk just from a lack of knowledge and everyone not being on the same page. But it just has to be a coordinated effort. And like you talk about here, the MAR stack, if you go to your company, does everyone know what's in your MAR stack? And
No, usually not.
what happened? So I think that's a good practice. Um, and then, like, I heard this, I forgot the name of the lady, but I was at a conference and I heard this, but she discussed the concept of what's called rabbit teams, and, RABBIT, like the bunny. But that's basically, set of people that are going to kind of be on the cutting edge, keeping up with what's going on. They're the ones who are going to try out stuff. Um, and take a deep dive. So I would say kind of have that person or those people. They're going to be the ones who kind of start with a small project. So that's another just recommendation. Start small, something experimental, something that's a pilot. See how that goes. One of the main reasons why AI projects fail in organizations comes down to the data. Like, the data is very unstructured. It's not in and one, the data is not high quality, but it's also not in a format that can be used by these AI systems. So there's just a lot of things before you hit yes, to these AI things, just get some things in order. But I would say start small, start slow, be experimental, um, and make sure it's actually going to be a benefit and solve a real problem that the business has.
It's I laughed when you said midterm, because I know I recently shared when we were talking over the weekend on the panel how I was in a group on social media, and the post was like, "Hey, share whatever you're working on right now." And in this comment section, one woman's like, "Hey, I just came out with this children's book, and here's the cover." And then I see this little AI black boy. And then a few comments later, I see a woman, like some other type of like book. I forgot what the subject was. And then with the same boy, but in a different shirt. And I'm like, oh, this is about to be interesting. I got to come back here in a couple days and see what these two ladies have to say. It's interesting, as you said that about people building things in different places and companies, very big companies will all typically have various people creating content in HR. They'll have people creating content in the marketing department and just kind of all over the place. And you don't really know what people are doing. So I think it is very sound advice to kind of like herd all the cats in and really try to see like what everyone is doing and particularly testing. So I know that a lot of companies are trying to build their own internal AI chats so they can have their own information sitting within their company and people can quickly get to that, which I think that's amazing because companies are notoriously horrible when it comes to keeping up with data. But something else you said reminded me of that is when you said that the data is unstructured and the data is bad. So I have heard a couple of incidents where people were like pulling in data instructions at a energy company for equipment that was like 20 years old and no longer even in the building. So there is a lot of herding of the cats that needs to happen with all the tech tools that people are using.
Yeah, definitely. And the decision shouldn't, be just made quickly, with these tools. And I like to say it should kind of be like um, AI dating, like, if you're going on a blind date, you're like Googling them and what's your credit score, all of these things. And what are your intentions with me? You don't want to
Yeah,
go out with like
yeah.
a psycho or whatever, but it should be the same thing, like that same diligence with these
Mm-hmm.
AI tools, um, and uh, and just having plans for risk mitigation because there have
Hmm.
been companies where their trade secrets were leaked because some
Hmm.
employee in the back of the
Mm-hmm.
booth in the corner in the dark
Yeah.
put it in
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
chat.
With above promotions, Ebony always ensure that all of us are like, in the know, and we have a plan rolled up for when crisis happens. So yeah, technology is ever evolving. What do you see in the future landscape of AI, privacy laws, and social media shaping the marketing industry?
Yeah, just based on I think some of the early signals from some of these cases, like I think in the one where the different authors are suing OpenAI,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
for using their books. Actually, there's a really fascinating article that was put out in the Atlantic where the person was able to kind of backward design and find out what actually were in the data sets, um,
Mhm.
for ChatGPT, because that's one of the other problems is these companies are not being transparent. Like they're like,
Mm-mm.
yeah, we're using Wikipedia and Reddit, and but they're not saying everything. But it turns out
Mhm.
that they did find these not defendants, yeah, their books were in the data set, but the judge is kind of like, hey, your one book out of these billions of parameters is not going to, you know, really make a difference. Is it defrauding you of, your life's work? Which I think is troubling because it's like, it doesn't matter if
Very.
my one book out of, if someone, can produce a remix of something I made, then I should be compensated. So
Mhm.
for me in the future, I just see creatives really kind of standing up and not just allowing, these companies to take their stuff and not be, one, getting consent, but two, not being credited and not being compensated. So I just see, for me, it's rise of the creatives,
Yeah.
as they protect themselves against, these
I,
AI companies.
I think I don't know, do you? And I mean, of course, startup, when it started, then, Elon and all this other stuff. But I just kind of wonder if they had started with good intentions and actually started with let's compensate the people who are feeding the data sets, and we would be in a better place right now. Because for the life of me, like there were times, and I haven't done it in a couple months, where I would just do these tests with it and I would say, tell me something about, I don't know, the NIST cybersecurity framework. And I would ask a very specific question, knowing who has actually provided some of the material for that. And then I would ask ChatGPT, thanks for the answer, but can you tell me where you got it from? And it would just continue and say, oh, well, here are some sources you can check out, but it would still never tell me. So to me, I would love to see that be the feature. I mean, come on, let's how are people going to who actually care about facts going to remotely be able to determine if there's a legitimacy to the content that they're receiving back?
Yeah, and I've
Mhm.
seen that too. Like, I don't know how that would work because I know within the data set, it's like it's just tagged as text, and it doesn't say,
Mm-hmm.
where that text came from. Like, oh, it came from this person's book or you know this particular report. So it's literally just feeding the model, just text and information. And that's the other thing people have to realize. Like the AI doesn't know what it's putting back out to you. It's just predicting, like, oh, this is what should make sense, um, and what sounds human like. So that would be great. Because I know I had queried it probably like a month ago. Well, when Claude 2 came out, because every time one comes
Mm.
out, I'm like, let me see what it knows about Black people in tech. And so
Oh
far,
goodness,
nothing. And so
nothing,
I was doing
nothing.
it with Claude, but in all of the models I've tried, whether it's Bard, whether it's ChatGPT, it like gives me a whole list. I was like, hey, give me a list of 25 of the top things. And I clicked on every single one of the articles, and every single one didn't exist. It was made up. And
Mm.
so
Mm-hmm.
that's just another thing companies have to just be thinking and watch out for. Like, there are, hallucinations where it makes stuff up. There is inaccurate information. You would have to be responsible for that. And just know we are still kind of in the early stages. Like, even as impressive as it may seem, they still need more data. They still need more high quality data. A lot of data on the internet is not high quality, like things on
No.
social media sites and things like that. It can't use. So it does need things like books and
Yeah.
peer reviewed articles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I remember Ebony at the time when OpenAI ChatGPT was started booming. She made sure to tell everyone that, hey, be careful with this tool because it gives out like old information, not high quality. So yeah, that's really important. So talking about all of these things, how can organizations stay informed and effectively adapt to the changes in privacy laws and social media regulations?
Yes. So some of the ways I stay up to date on all of these things, my number one go-to thing is set Google alerts. And so you can just go to google.com/alerts, and then you can just put in there phrases um, that you want to be pinged about if anyone talks about them, publishes about them, does a presentation about them. There are a lot of great um, newsletters out there. So especially on Substack, uh, I would also say like I'm in a lot of groups, like on Facebook. LinkedIn is another great place. But you basically just have to kind of make your own professional learning network, and that would, you know, entitle those things, but also what are some organizations, what are people to follow, what are hashtags to follow, and yeah, and that's what I do to just keep abreast of all of these things. And there are also like news aggregators, you know, to bring in all the different things. But just in the age of AI, I would say we just have to become forever learners, and it's not going to get to a point where it's like, oh yeah, I got this, I know what's happening, because it literally changes every single day. It seems like something else happens, there's some new development, someone releases another model, someone releases an even bigger model. And so yeah, had to become forever learners. And yeah, that's how I keep up with that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, we learned a lot from this session today. So, we want to thank you, Ara, for being our guest today, and thank you as well, Ebony. So,
Thank
Just
you,
some,
Aura.
just
Appreciate you.
This was great. Thank you for having me on. It's fun.
So we were able to talk about challenges organizations face in ensuring compliance, best practices in reviewing and updating Martech stack, the future landscape of AI, privacy laws, and social media in the marketing industry, and how to stay informed and effectively adapt to changes in privacy laws and social media regulations. So we hope this discussion has been helpful and that we have allowed you to learn more about everything you must consider in choosing your Martech stack today. We also want to thank those that tuned in. If you joined us late, do not worry. We will have this recording available on our website, abovpromotions.com. And if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, you missed a couple of these upcoming opportunities. So join the upcoming holiday workshops with Ebony Vaz that will suit your marketing needs on September 22nd, happening online, and September 23rd at Wesley Chapel at 11 a.m. So please check upoppromotions.com/training for more information about these workshops. Stay tuned to our website for the announcement of the upcoming topics. See you again next month. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Kay. Thanks, Aura.
Thank you.